Okay, guys.
You ready?
Mm-hmm. Hey guys, welcome to Bass University Live. A little bit delayed this morning because it's cold outside and we were waiting for the water temperature to warm up a little bit so the fish will bite better for us. That's our excuse. We're going with it. We have you guys know that if you guys were with us last week, we got blasted with giant winds and they shut down our electric, and we've suffered with some computer issues that we're resolving at this moment, but we're glad to be back live and glad to be with you guys today. Really excited. Big week this week, man. It's Classic Week. It's the biggest week in the sport of fishing, and we're going to be there. Bass University is going to be there. I'm joined with GDP, Greg DePalma. We're all heading down to the Classic. It's going to be a good one.
We are. It's going to be a different kind of Classic this year. It's pretty brutally cold there as the practice goes. There's a warming trend coming. But
is it going to be enough?
I don't know. One thing I do know about river systems, they tend to move faster than lakes. So with that being said, and plus the fish do live shallower. It's going to be an interesting one, man. I really like this one.
I do too. We love Knoxville. We've been there a few years ago, and it's it's an amazing place to have. Just full of bass fishing fans. It's going to be great. We can't wait to be down there. Hanging out with you guys. Make sure if you're subscribed, make sure you guys stop by and see us at the Bass University booth. Of course, we're going to be there doing what we do, collecting some great instructional content, and we have stuff for all of our subscribers, and we've got a great Classic offer. If you can't make the Classic, that offer is going on right now. It's $80 off an annual subscription, 30-day free trial. It's the Bassmaster Classic special. It's happening right now, so go over to Bass UTV and get yourself signed up. You can participate in the IM board, and we have some great prizes. If you guys are watching us over on social, we have a like and share. What's that? Waterwood. We're giving away 3 Waterwood baits. I'm getting signals over here from Jocelyn. Jocelyn's in the room with us tonight. Hi, Joss.
Hello.
And that's going to be our like and share. And we also have a grand prize. So pay attention to what we talk about today, because we have a grand prize that will be.
We have a hummingbird hat, a Rapala hat. We have Rapala baits, and we also have VMC hooks.
VMC hooks.
Wow.
Excellent. I love the new red line from VMC. Really amazing. Just high-end tournament performance hooks built by VMC. So check those out. I saw Jacob Wheeler really using them and promoting them on the Bass Pro Tour. Which is going on right now. Congratulations again to Brian Thrift winning the Red Crest. Amazing win. I want you to check out. We just released the Brian Thrift on Thursday of last week. Practicing for the future. Brian's practice strategy. Priceless. All right. You're talking about one of the greatest anglers that has ever done this sport, opening up in our Bass University classroom about how he prepares and practices for events, as he did to go ahead and win the Red Crest down on his home lake of Lake Norman. He's won 3 times on Lake Norman. I wish they would come to the Delaware River once in a while.
I do too. I really truly do. Brian was a great example. Like, it's really hard to win at home, which a lot of you guys
it is
know,
a lot of pressure.
Lots of pressure. But in that tournament, them guys were actually faced with a lot of different scenarios. The weather changed a ton, and he made all the right adjustments. Which, like you said, everybody on Bass U gives up the juice. I'm sure Brian does the same thing on all the stuff he does. The guy is a beast. There's no other way to put it. He is good.
He does it differently. It's interesting. I was just talking to him, and at our class. Where was he at, Riz?
He was in Alabama with us.
He was in Alabama. I get the places all confused, but I know I'm going to be fishing a blueback herring lake this year, and I was talking about the blueback herring bite, and he says I never go after it.
Wow.
And
it is. I'll tell you what, it is risky.
Yeah.
Well,
he that's Brian's strategy. He purposefully avoids the primary patterns.
That's smart.
You know, he goes and looks for things that people miss, like he did at Norman by going up the river and fishing offshore. Everybody else went up the river. They're bank beating. They're fishing that stained water. He fished offshore up on Norman to get the W in the last 2 days of competition. By the way, Riz is here with us. You can hear him back there scrambling around, plugging wires together. A lot of gaffing tape and duct tape at work here, but we're up and running.
Yeah, that's right, Pete. It was a little hectic getting things going, but happy to be talking about the Classic, catching up with Brandon Coulter, get some local insight on what's going to be going on down there in Knoxville, and should be a good show. A little late to get started, but that's all right. We're still going to have it.
That's right. You know, just
Beat you fast.
start slow. Yeah, start slow, finish strong. We are brought to you by Tackle Direct Studios. We are in Tackle Direct Studios here at Bass U. They are going to be down at the Classic and working with Shimano down there. Some great opportunities to be able to pick up Shimali's at a great price. So go check them out.
Shimali's.
Yeah.
Also, they're working with Aquaview, and they're going to be doing some really big discounts
What?
at the Classic. So if you're looking for an Aquaview, 1, stop by Bass U because you might win one.
Yeah.
2, go to Tackle Direct because they're doing some really big
Special event.
discounts.
Okay. Way to go. Aquaview and Tackle Direct. If you can't make the Classic, you can go get a great deal on Aquaview from your pro member benefits over on Bass U, as well as Rapala VIP program. Guys, if you're a subscriber and you haven't signed up for that, stop what you're doing right now. Go get signed up. You're going to be amazed at the opportunity there for Rapala, VMC, Storm, and all the other great brands. A lot of the brands that I get from the VIP program are the winter clothing, gloves. You know, I even have a ice fishing suit and all kinds of great stuff, Ice Force stuff over there that you can take advantage of as a Bass U subscriber. So go check it out. Is Brandon ready to go?
Hold on,
Yeah,
time out.
Brandon's ready.
Before we have
one.
one, I want to say something before he gets on, just for a guess.
Okay.
I want to say I can't really tell you the last time. I'm going to say, and if I had to pick one bait as a whole for the Classic that's going to play before Brandon comes on, I'm going to say a Rapala
Ooh.
Shad Wrap. It's been a long time since we've seen this kind of bait play, and this is the conditions for it, and probably one of the best places in the country, besides maybe Douglas or a Cherokee, for a Shad Wrap. So I'm going to say as a whole, that's my winning bait guess for the whole field.
That's amazing. That's a great pick.
Yep.
And we'll talk about that with Brandon. As a matter of fact, one of the guys in the Bass Pro Tour gave a shout out to the Shad Wrap. He's using that.
It's nasty.
It's one
of the best, right? For cold water, it's got to be.
It is. It really is. It's all time. One of the all-time great cold water baits. You're making me upset with myself because I fished in cold water last weekend and I failed to throw the Shad Wrap. I threw everything else at him. I threw the jerk baits, you know, I thought that was going to be the deal, and the blade baits, but I didn't get over to the Shad Wrap, but mistake made. Commercial, are we going right to Brandon?
Hit the commercial, and we'll bring Brandon in right after.
All right. Brandon Coulter is going to be with us. Brandon Coulter is out on the Bass Pro Tour. As a matter of fact, that's where he's calling us from. He's fishing down on Douglas Lake, and he's taking time to visit with us, and I appreciate that. He's from Knoxville, East Tennessee, expert. We're going to be talking about the classic waters and the Bass Pro Tour and all that great stuff. Great friend of the show. Brandon Coulter will be with us right after this.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood Custom Baits to the Bass U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense, it's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
AquaView, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. Have more fun. AquaView. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier.
Welcome back to Bash You Live, and there he is. We got our man, our East Tennessee man, Knoxville boy. Great to have you with us after all these difficulties, man. It's great to have you on the show, Brandon.
Yeah, no, it was good, man. Sorry about that. I had a little. I'm not technically sound. Sorry, the dog's barking. You heard my voice, so. But no, had a little phone issue, so we've got a computer plugged in, so we should be good.
Oh, awesome, man. It's great to have you. A little background on Brandon and me. We're connected through your father, Rich Coulter, who really was an important part of my fishing career. Shout out to Rich. I know he's down there with you in East Tennessee now, and he actually was an integral part of me getting my first boat sponsorship with Champion Boats way back in the day. So that was connected, and here we are all these years later talking to you. It's pretty amazing ride.
Yeah, he was my first sponsor too, right? No, he sent me to Tennessee with a boat. I was very, very fortunate.
That's great, and he's a great guy. I still remember him and I chasing stripers on the Upper Chesapeake Bay, and
Mother's Day weekend.
Yes,
that was the big weekend. And
he's famous. He's still famous for catching 20-pound bags of smallmouth and winning some tournaments on the Upper Bay with that. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Here you are out on the Bass Pro Tour, and really, really great to have you with us. You're down there on Lake Douglas. I know that was a challenging body of water this week.
It was man, it is. It's really, really tough. We had, a lot like the guys are going to face in the Classic this week. We had water temperatures just drop out the bottom out of it. I think we were 62 a week and a half ago, and we started one day of practice at 49. So we had a huge shad kill, and so it was a challenge. Had a good first day, not so good yesterday. So
yeah. Well, that's
plenty of time to do podcasts, right? I have plenty of time to do that.
Well, we feel fortunate to have you, and that I know that with that radical water temperature drop, the getting the right bites to give you the clue, to give you the information that you need, is so hard because you get so few when the conditions change like that.
Yeah, and that was the thing for me the second day, is I just never got dialed in. It was constant for me. It was, the first day I, hunting packed, and finally got on something the last hour and a half and just went to, it was weird. It's like, if you figured it out, you could catch them. And I, in the last hour, it was everywhere I went, I was catching them. And then it just all of a sudden, the second day I just never got on that deal. And, quite frankly, I, had a beer or two over it last night, thinking about what I would have done different and talking to a few guys and watching a little live this morning. I mean, obviously I just never ran into them, but I don't know that I would have changed, my approach. It's just one of those tournaments that I'll admit when I'm, I'm very hard on myself, and I know kind of when I miss it. And, man, I just never ran into them. It's not one that I'm, going to beat myself up over too much because I was doing the right stuff. I just missed the areas, I guess.
Well, it seems to be always the case. No matter unless you win the tournament, we beat ourselves up, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
But let's compare what's going on at Douglas to what's going to be happening at Tellico Loudon. Now, my recollection is Douglas is like more of a mountain style reservoir, and Tellico Loudon is a lot flatter. Are they going to fish the same, do you think?
No, not at all. Douglas and Cherokee both, they're highland reservoirs. They drop them 60 feet. Water levels are always an issue. It's about, everybody was talking about how low the water was. It was 20 foot down. That's actually about 20 foot higher than it normally is this time of year. So when I've spent time up there this time of year, it was, a lot of the stuff I was fishing was, or wanted to fish was 20 foot, underwater. So typically this time of year, it's only, it's 40 feet down. Well, it's 20 now. Loudon doesn't do that. Loudon is a typical Tennessee river. It fluctuates they draw it down about 5 foot, 4.5, 5 foot a year. And, it just doesn't have that fluctuation. So it fishes completely different.
Are the water temperatures going to be similar there?
Yeah. The water temperature will be similar there. And it'll be the same thing at Douglas. You were running up the river, it was 42. On the low end, you had, in the low 50s. Loudon will be the same, but we're gonna get a big warm up. I don't know how much their practice was going to help them. Just from being, I fished a lot of big spring tournaments here, and it changes not only daily, but we're going to have enough warm up that it should be completely different.
I noticed that it's going to be in the 50s until I guess Thursday. It's going to be 70 plus degrees and stay 70 right through the tournament.
Right. And the biggest difference there is in Douglas, the fish are deep and it takes them longer to come. It's just, they like to live deep. They've got a different forage, everything's different there. On Loudon, they live shallow anyway. So they just don't like to bite when it's cold. So, they're already there in most cases. Now they'll move slightly, they'll get a little bit more aggressive. They'll pull up on the points. They'll do some things, they'll slide, on the backside of the points, get headed into the pockets. They'll do some of those things. They'll adjust slightly, but man, they don't have to go far. They just don't, there are fish that live deep, but man, for the most part, it's a river, and that's where guys struggle on Loudon. A lot of people think it's the worst lake on the Tennessee River system. It's just different. It's not bad. It's just different. It fishes like a river.
Man, I would like to fish that one.
I would love to fish that one.
Yeah, we're all river rats up here. The smallmouth played like Gussie won there last, and it was a little bit earlier, a couple weeks earlier. And of course, he won it on smallmouth fishing deep. Do you know? I got two questions. Number one, is the deep bite like that going to play, and their smallmouth, do you think, going to be a factor in this year's Classic?
Smallmouth, it'll be a mixed bag. Typically this time of year, you can't win on Loudon with one or the other. If you're going to win with one, it's going to be smallmouth typically. But if you're going to succeed in March tournaments, most of the time it's going to be a mixed bag. I would say, 80% of we're very fortunate. We have some big $10,000 tournaments a year, and they're always this time of year. Last week, first week of March, last week of March, first week of April. And so, they're big events, guys, as a guy that grew up here, I got to fish, 100 of them. And so, a lot of time on the water that time of year for the locals. And man, it's almost always, if it's not a big bag of smallmouth, it'll be a mixed bag.
Well, you just opened up a bunch of more questions. All those March tournaments, how are they won? Like, what is it, a crankbait bite, or how are they winning?
Weather permitting.
What did she say?
She wants me to keep petting her. I've been gone for a while. So if you see my shoulder, that's what I'm doing.
I got you.
But no, Tellico plays this time of year. There is a smallmouth bite on Tellico that, if they can exploit it, someone could weigh a giant bag of smallmouth on Tellico. I'm talking 24, 25 pounds.
Whoa.
It's there. It's there to be had. The timing should be really, really good for it. The problem with Tellico is it's a newer lake. It sets up a little different than Loudon. It's very weather dependent. It's really hard to duplicate day in and day out at Tellico. Most of the locals that do well, they might win one on Tellico, rarely, but almost all the really good locals fish Loudon. It's just more consistent. Loudon's a more consistent lake. Tellico has the potential. So, it can play. As far as Loudon, it's shallow. I mean, I can't think of many tournaments that have been won, deep at all this time of year. Gussie obviously exploited that, and that could play, but most of them are one shallow.
How deep are you talking? Like, because deep's always relative. Are you talking like 6 to 8 or like 10 to 12?
Depending on the weather, jerkbait bite's really good, and, similar to what they're doing on Douglas this week. Mm-hmm. But, the fish are going to be, those smallmouth, if they're staging, they can be in that 8 to 10 on, gravel rounds and those kind of things, or on little bluff ends. And that would be really the deepest I would fish for them. Like I said, Gussie exposed something that a lot of people hadn't done here before. So I'm sure with forward-facing sonar and Gussie's tournament here, I'm sure there's a lot of people looking out deep. But most stuff's one cranking, shallow cranking, jerkbait. If the weather is at all good along waking a bait on top can be really good this time of year. There's a lot of ways to catch them, and they're going to catch them this week. You watch. I mean, it's going to be way better. The weights are going to be better than last Classic for sure.
It's interesting you say wake bait, because Edwin was using that at the Red Crest.
Yeah,
I guess
Red Crest.
At Norman. That's right.
Guess who he stays with? Op the foe. Odds. That wake bait kind of came from this area, and and it's been an East Tennessee thing for a long time, and it's funny, there's a couple things we do here. They never play anywhere else. We don't get to roll a poplar under bushes. We don't get to it's like someday that's going to happen in my lifetime. I get to do some East Tennessee tricks. I want to throw a float and fly somewhere so bad, but they never seem to play anywhere else. So,
well, you had picked the bait to potentially do well in this tournament.
I did. I picked the shad wrap.
Yeah.
When I was there before, I guess we were there in February, as our second event of the year, 2 years ago. I mean, I got him pretty good on the shad wrap practice also, running down gravel banks, nothing to them. What do you think about a shad wrap this week?
Number 5 shad wrap is historically a great bait here. It's number 5, a small.
That's the little bitty guy.
Yeah. And they catch them on bluffs and gravel. It does not matter. They like it here. I personally think there'll be fish caught on it. Don't get me wrong. I think we'll be past it. Okay. I think the water temperatures are warm enough on Thursday that I'm not saying you won't catch them on it. I just don't think you have to catch them on it. And to me, that bait in particular, if I don't have to throw it, I'm not going to throw it. If I can catch on a flat side, or something else, I can cover more water. I can do more stuff. I can. So there will be fish caught on it, period. I mean, it's a good bait, and they like it here. But I think we'll be a little bit past it. I think you'll see some, vibrating jigs. I think you'll see a spinnerbait bite. Look out.
Is tight lining the wrong time of year for it? And that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a little bit past that. Okay. Now, man, I'm admittingly new at the forward facing thing. All of that changes everything. It's going to be, it's funny that the last Classic, the guys were really limited. We had so much stain in the water. There was so much current. Really, the upper half of the lake was almost unfishable. You know, the guys that caught them down the lake. You really couldn't fish, I would say, 15-mile section. I mean, no one caught them above the Pellissippi Bridge, which is the 140 bridge. There was just too much color. There was just way too much current. We had a ton of rain, and it was just flush. They were flushing the system. It's not going to be that way this time. They're going to have a lot more area they can cover.
Wow. I saw rain in the forecast, but it looked like that might happen during the tournament. Didn't look. I don't know if it's going to be dramatic rain or not.
No, I didn't see anything that looked like it was going to change the event.
Okay.
It should. Man, the water. I mean, it should set up as good as it possibly can and get better every day of the tournament.
How about the low water? A lot of guys are saying the water's like 6 to 8 feet low right now.
It's I looked at it this morning. It's 4.5 feet. It's 4.7, and that's the way it's supposed to be. It is low, but they don't start raising it until April. So, little middle of April to the end of April now, actually. And so, the fish are they're in their comfort zone right now.
We were talking before we got on here. I think one of you guys mentioned Gussie's area is a revolving door over there at practice this week. Is that true?
Yeah, that's what I saw on Chris Aldane's post.
Is that right?
Yeah, guys all over
it.
I can imagine. And I think with it being as cold as it was in practice, I mean, I'd certainly look for it. I would look for, fish out. And I think you're going to see the guy that adjusts from what they found in practice to what they're going to find in the tournament. I do not think someone's going to find something like that and win with what he found in the pre-practice. I just think it's going to change too much.
So do you think, well, I got two questions. I want to go back. You mentioned a 24-pound bag, a smallmouth can be caught, but that's extreme. What do you think the winning weight's going to be like? What do you think the guys are going to catch consistently down there?
Man, it's you say it sounds extreme. I mean, in the Helen Ross McNabb tournament, which is a big benefit tournament here, I mean, you can't win it with less than 20. I mean, for years, you know what I mean? And
yep.
I mean, it's got them in it. It's got this reputation of not having big bags. I think Gussie won like 15 a day or something. But man, that is not normal. This time of year, I mean, you should expect multiple 20-pound bags, every day. I would think that you're going to have 16 and a half a day, just because you're going to have 20 one day, and then you're going to have a 15-pound day, and, then a 17-pound day. They're going to bite, and it's got them. I promise you it does.
I'm writing it down. Brandon Coulter says 49 and a half pounds to win the Classic.
There you go.
Is that right? Is that where you're?
No, I think it'll take 16 and a half. I mean, I know if I fished one of those tournaments, now I had Rich Coulter in the boat, right? So yeah, it's different. I had an advantage. But if we went out and didn't have 17, you didn't feel like you had a very good day. You know what I mean? And so, if you came in with, 15 and a half, you're hoping to get a, bag of chips and, maybe a free weigh-in bag or something.
Well, I guess we're going to see how it rolls out. And we've got the best possible conditions with a warm front settling in on the area. So I imagine the weights will be maxed out.
Yeah, and I think the cold front helps too. I mean, people don't, it resets the fish, right?
Right.
And it keeps people off the lake. Sure. I mean, I
didn't think about that. That's
on
true.
The lake this week. It's who wants to be out there in this? I didn't want to be out there yesterday. But no, it's just kept a lot of people off the lake, and it resets them. Those big smallmouth are going to be up and ready to go. And I think Knoxville. It was funny. I'm sponsored by the city of Knoxville, and so Chad Culver and the city, they do an incredible job. And bringing this in, I remember the call. He said, "What if we make it 2 weeks later? Is that going to hurt us?" And I just smiled. I just said, "No." I said, "It's going to show." And I'm excited that they moved it back just a little bit, and it should be a good show.
Do you think there'll be any spawning activity? Will it warm fast enough for that?
I don't think so. No. This lake's
my picks are all around the spawn. I thought it might happen.
Yeah, no, I don't. I think if it would have stayed warm, you'd have seen the smallmouth go on. There may be some smallmouth going. I do not think a large majority of the largemouth on this lake actually wait for the water to come up. So we have a big group of fish that wait until May, the moon in late April and early May, no matter what the temperature is, because their typical spawning places and where they want to be is out of the water. And so we have a group that waits. So it's typically a little later, on Fort Loudon, but no, I've caught them, spawning the first week of May quite a bit. So I don't think we'll see the largemouth on the bed at all.
Okay, can you call somebody to get that water level up so that it'll facilitate my picks for this week?
Exactly. I'm sorry, I don't have that kind of pull. I've got a lot of pull here, but not that kind.
Come on, City of Knoxville, help me out. Yeah, I'm still thinking it's going to be a shallow water tournament. Well, it sounds to me like it very well could be. And forward facing was it was amazing to me watching the guys at Douglas just pulling their hair out, watching those groups of fish that they couldn't make bite. It's just amazing. They'd see 20 and 30 bass rise up for their baits and couldn't get them to go.
And that's something that I had, thinking about that and how we're catching them now. It's been a while since I fished, a year or two since I fished one of the events, and really that's, since forward facing sonar. And we're keen on those smallmouth that are pulled up, with a flat side or something like that. I don't know how many of them are sitting off those long run out, those, the typical smallmouth points on the low end, or, either the bluff ends or these gravel runouts, and so red clay gravel runouts. And who knows, there might be 10 of them sitting out there and I'm only catching one on each point, that's a 4-pounder. I have no idea. There might be 10 of them sitting out there. So it could get ugly with it, especially with a jerkbait. They like a jerkbait on this lake, especially on the low end. It stays clear on the low end.
I got you. Well, we're going to see how. I will tell you this: in any of the Classic competitors are listening, on Teleco Loudon, I avoid pine trees like the plague typically because they don't hold fish. But these darn fallen in pine trees down there, them fish love them things, and they spawn all around them.
They do. Chris Zaldane and what he likes to do next to pine trees, they could be set up really good for it. You could see him catching on a big swim bait.
Pulling them up out of them pines.
They could be staging. I remember starting the Helen Ross McNabb, which was the third week of March, in a tournament with a small spinner bait, running it down to lay down. My first cast, I caught a 5.5-pounder 2 years in a row on the same tree. And if I had a Berkeley coal shad or a mag draft, I might have caught them all day doing it. It was just a little early for spinner bait. So something like that could play for sure.
I got you. Yeah, it's the most amazing thing.
Why do you think they like pine trees on that?
Why do they get on pine trees there and nowhere else?
I wouldn't say nowhere else, Pete.
You know what I mean. If they have no tree, if they have a maple and they have a pine, they're not going anywhere near that pine.
Yeah, I agree. Man, I don't know. I have not. That's. I don't know.
I always thought it was like, is it really true, or is it the fact that they're just hard as heck to fish because you can't get anything? You get your line hooked on a pine cone, you're done. It ain't coming back.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm looking forward to it. I'm unfortunately, I'm done for this week, so I'll be over there at the Classic and. Working a little bit. So
awesome. Well, make sure you stop by and see us.
I will.
At the Bass U booth. Let me ask you this. You have you dialed in who do you think? Who do you think's going to win this tournament? What's Brandon Coulter's pick?
Man, Lester's spent a lot of time here. He's not from here by any stretch. The guys that are from here or Ott and, some of the other guys that are closer, Wesley, guys that grew up fishing on this lake. Brandon's, we don't really have one of those in the Classic. Man, I was looking through the list because I knew this question would come up. And, man, I don't know why, but my gut, Brian knew. I have no idea why. He's fishing good. He's I don't know. It felt right. It just feels like a tournament for some reason. I think he'd do well in. I like his game. Christie's going to be tough, because that cold water spinnerbait, he can chase that too. Meaning, you get up in the rivers, it gets a little colder, fish aren't, if he wants to catch them staging on that, he can. And they, Christie's going to be tough. Hank should have a good tournament. If he doesn't, it's on him because there's gonna be fish on jerkbait.
Gotcha. Well, I was thinking, my pick is Hackney. Hackney hasn't won the Classic yet, and I watched him just fishing in the first two events, and just fishing with such confidence and ease through some tough tournaments. Shallow. I was thinking it's going to be a shallow water derb, and I was picking him. I see John Cox breaking his little crankbait out and just going somewhere where nobody else is, and taking advantage of that bite, which he's won with, this time of year. So
there's going to be. I don't know if there's any off limits. Before when they were here, they put the upper river off limits up past a certain point, which actually limited Ott a little bit. And so I don't know if they've done that this tournament or not. And that'll be to John and Pochet's detriment a little bit, because since it's 2 weeks later, there can be some fish caught above the shoals. And so those guys that are crazy enough to try to get up through there, they can catch some up there, but they had off limits, I think, at one of the bridges last time we were here. And I think because of camera boats and safety and all that kind of stuff, because it's hairy up there.
No doubt.
So I like your pick. If there's no set off limits, I think someone can get up there and catch them.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would hate. I'd like to see them make those runs. I saw Pochet at Douglas was going, ridiculously far up one of those rivers.
It's I don't know. I like to keep my lower units on the boat generally.
Not even that. I think, isn't gas an issue on that body of water too? Getting gas? There's not many places, right?
It can be. So the guys that, and that's where Tellico is going to, if you go to Tellico, if you go where they live, you very well may need to stop and get gas, because it's a good 35, 40, miles down to the dam. And then if you go up another 20 miles, and you run around some, all of a sudden, it could be an issue.
Yeah.
There's I mean, if there's a few. I mean, you can get some at Fort Loudon Marina there at the dam. There's a few places to get it, but they're going to have to schedule it for sure.
Because these lakes are connected. There's in there a causeway, or I forget how they're connected. There's a canal, and so you got to run down lake from the ramp to go through this canal to access Tellico.
Right.
Okay.
So it's a good run down to the dam, probably 30 minutes, something like that, 35 minutes. And then you got to go, the canal's literally, that's where Gussie caught him, was in the canal. It's literally, a quarter mile long, and it just connects into the other lake.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm excited for him, because the upper end of Tellico, which can be really good, and the upper end of Loudon, which can be really, really good this time of year. There are going to be guys that do well that don't run 3 miles. And that wasn't the case last time, because guys had to go so far to get away from the mud and get away from the current. They're not going to have to do that this time. And so I look for guys to do well within, I think the only one that did pretty well was Perch in Fourth Creek. He fished, a bridge in Fourth Creek the whole time. But I think he was the highest up that did well, but he was back in a creek at a bridge. He was kind of protected. The main channel was blown out. So I look for, there's a lot of good cranking, a lot of good stuff, on the upper end of Loudon that I think guys will exploit this time.
Well, that'll be awesome to see the lakes open up. And guys, we want to hear your picks. Who you picking to win this year? And Jocelyn, who's on the IM board?
Well, that's what they're chiming in on. We actually have our subscribers, Dan Allen. He picks G-Man because he's funny. Coach says he's pulling for Minetti.
Local boy.
There you go.
Tuck is rooting for Brandon. Nick is rooting for Dave Mullins because Cranking is going to win it and he will be dialed.
And Mullins he's the East Tennessee boy.
He is.
Tuck is rooting for Jason Christie because he will win on a small spinnerbait. And BKG is picking Walters because forward facing and he's a jerkbait master.
I'm going to second the Walters. I saw that and I meant to say that. He's as good as there is at that. And like I said, if those smallmouth are staged out, the ones that I don't know live there, because we always just catch the ones that are up. I can see that happening for sure.
Who said Christie with a small spinnerbait?
Tuck.
I don't believe Christie has a small spinnerbait.
No. It'll have a big blade on it, I promise.
I know it's got to have a license plate blade.
I don't know his Covert Series spinnerbaits. There's some in there with double Colorados that are small,
teeny tiny.
He's got 3/8 ounce double Colorado spinnerbaits that are a nice little offering.
Yeah, I've been wrong before.
Nick wants to know: do you guys think it will be clear enough to sight fish?
Yes. But I don't think they'll see anything. I just don't think they'll. If we had a tournament, we had an FLW there one time, and it was in April, and they smashed them sight fishing on smallmouth. And so I don't think that. I just don't think we're that far along this time. I think this cold front knocked anything back that had something going, and so I just don't see them seeing anything.
I remember, I think it was an FLW tournament that I fished there. And I remember one of the dominant patterns was spawning largemouth and smallmouth that you couldn't see, but they were using jerk baits to pull them up and get them to show themselves. Okay. And then going after them in that, 4 or 5 foot zone.
Yeah.
I thought that was a creative solution to a challenging problem, but I guess, like you said, Brandon, it's too little, too late as far as warming up.
Well, yeah, and that we used to use a big glide bait or a big. Remember the very first old Osprey? Remember that bait?
Yeah,
the
sure.
Paddle, the big, flat top, big paddle tail. You should just throw that out there and then just wind it, and like you said, they'd show themselves, and then you go back and catch them. But I have a hard time, thinking it's going to happen. You know what that means, Pete? They're going to smash them sight fishing because I don't think they're going to be there. They're going to be laying around everywhere, and the guys are just going to be picking them off left and right.
I can see our social posts already when the guys are all talking about sight fishing on the stage, and then we'll clip in Brandon's dialogue
exactly
right next to it. I think you're right. It's too. You make such valid points because your history on a body of water, man. We see it at Chickamauga. Like those fish wait and wait and wait, and they will not spawn until that darn water's up.
Yeah, and that's the largemouth mostly. The smallmouth will go, but it just takes them. They just wait. I don't know why.
Heck, we see it here on the bay. Like they wait till the grass grows.
Yeah, it gets right, then they get up there.
Yep.
There's a few that go, but the mass majority wait.
They wait. They wait until that grass gets enough to break the current, give them a safe harbor, and it usually always happens in May. And then like you said, they'll spawn a little bit, trickles here and there, but all of a sudden when that grass gets tall, boom, there they go. And I
missed the bay. I want to come back.
Come on up.
Come on.
It's we're expecting a big year. Like you talk about Teleco Loudon with the clarity. We're seeing it too. we've had low precipitation, snow and rain. The water's crystal clear, and it's stable. So long as we don't get some massive spring runoffs that make that river rage, we should have one of our best years, I'm thinking, this year.
Awesome.
Yeah. It'll be fun. And, you're welcome to come here. I'm coming down to your neck of the woods. So I'm expecting you to take care of Watts Bar for us to come down there. We expect the fish to bite down there in September.
It's actually been fishing pretty good. It fished so bad last year. But the spring tournaments have been good. I think Wesley had 18 or 19 pounds in a tournament there last week and finished 3rd or 4th.
Oh, wow.
So, they've been catching them pretty decent this year. So hopefully it was just an off year and they'll start biting down there. But I'm filming there for Saturday. I'll let you know.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to do the Classic Friday, Sunday, but I'm going to film with Wired to Fish on Saturday for some stuff.
Okay. Well, good deal. And I wish you all the best down there. I'm looking forward to coming down. I've only spent about 2 or 3 hours on Watts Bar. So it's going to be, I'll be looking at it with fresh eyes. I kind of look forward to that.
No, it's, that time of year, it's going to be tough. It's if you figure a little something out, it'll go a long way.
Yeah, for sure. But man, it's going to be great. Make sure you come by and see us. I know you're going to be busy down there at the Classic, and I appreciate you taking the time to come and hang with us and battle through all of our technical difficulties over here.
My technical. Let's be clear, they were my technical.
It's an even trade because we have a Windows computer that has crashed in the last week, and we actually have a technician working on it in the studio with us right now. So
shout out to our technician.
Hey, what's up?
Oh man, it's not looking good. You're getting thumbs down from the tech over there. I don't know. We might have to replace some gear over here, but man, it's awesome. Great to have you, man. It's always great to have you on the show. Appreciate it, and we look forward to. I'll see you in September for sure, and hopefully we'll see you next week or this.
I'll see you at the Classic. I appreciate it, guys.
Yes, sir. And good luck the rest of the season. Brandon Coulter, everybody.
Thanks, Brandon.
That was that's crazy. That is a unique body of water down there at Tellico Loudon.
It sounds awesome. What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University.
Is it going to take them kind of bags? I never would have thought that 24, 25 pound. That's amazing. It's big, man.
Yeah,
but I guess they live there.
What he said, just like it made the light bulbs go off. Like he said, they're always shallow.
Yeah.
They just want to be shallow. Most of them stay shallow. And it's not a matter of if they moved a lot of times, just if you can get them to bite.
Yeah.
And I think we deal with that a lot on the bay. Like how many places can they really be?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, maybe they're out in the middle of the channel. I don't know. But there's always a lot of fish in the areas that we know they are. They're just so dang hard to get bite. But you get a 2-day warming trend. My phone is blowing up right now. People sending me pictures from the bay. Big one's getting caught. Second day of a warming trend.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're going to see it down there for sure, and heck, here we got 70 degrees this week, and so now I know down there it's gonna erupt. I hope it's gonna erupt. But 24 pounds,
that's strong.
That's huge.
That's a big bag of smallmouth.
Yeah.
You're probably making the cut. You weigh that one of the days, overall.
But the forward facing deal really has changed everything. And we're so used to waiting and making adjustments based on the warm water movements and just bank burning that time of year, waiting for them to come to us. And now we don't have to. You can identify brush piles. Trees that, offshore habitat points that these fish could be using. Half this field, that's all they're going to be doing
for sure.
Just hunting. But here's the other thing, right? Who's going to make the adjustment?
That's it. It's all about adjustments.
Because they're not, the practice period is basically, it's done.
Boat ride. That's all it was.
Boat ride.
Yep. That's it.
Identifying some areas to look.
Exactly.
During the tournament.
Right.
And hopefully you guess right.
Somebody else that I think is going to be a factor in this event, and it didn't, you just said it was just a boat ride. You just went out and looked, and this is this guy's strategy. He actually did a seminar with us on it this year in Alabama. Scott Canterbury. says that his best tournaments he spends in practice looking and marking. Doesn't matter what he caught him on during practice. He looks and marks so that when he has that clue during the tournament, okay, I caught one on this. Guess what? Now he has 75 more spots marked that fit into the pattern that he developed.
That's awesome.
I mean, shoot, if everything's going to change from practice, you might as well know where a lot of everything is so that you can start running it once something develops.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna be wildly different from yesterday, their last practice day, to day one of the tournament. It's gonna be it's gonna be 80 degrees on Thursday down there.
Those are two of our most important seminars this year: the Brian Thrift Practicing for the Future and the Scott Canterbury, really diving into how they prepare and strategize for tournaments. Got to check that out at BASHU TV.
Yep.
And I want to, clue you guys in on this week's release, because Brandon Lester, who was a lot of people's pick to win this tournament, Riz, is he still your pick?
He's still my pick.
You're not allowed to change it.
He's still my pick, man.
Yep.
I'm rolling with Brandon.
And you're not alone. He's the top pick for a lot of different reasons. He had a top 10 last time they were here, and the deal, how the baits he uses for forward-facing sonar, one of which is tight lining, kind of similar to moping, what Gussie did to win last time, and he teaches about that. He teaches about his other tools, and he's got just a set of forward-facing baits that he uses in different situations. We're starting to see this, right? The advancement of forward-facing. You think, oh, turn it on, find the fish. It was always just throw a jerk bait at them. And so many guys, Brandon Lester included, they've got an arsenal that, and we saw it at Douglas. Like they're not biting it. Yeah, they're all coming up on it, but I can't trigger the strikes. Well, there's lots of other tools that are being used, and from a drop shot, one of which is that darn. It's kind of like the Demiki rig, that little minnow style bait on a light jig head. Suspending it in that water column a little longer. That's a big one.
I'm just listening. I'm taking it all in.
I want GDP's tools.
I think
that's what I want
for the classic, or just me in general.
In general, I mean, you're staring at that unit. You're good.
I can tell you,
a lot of you guys might not know this about GDP, but he is an electronic wizard, and he's staring at that unit a lot. So, what are your tools?
I can tell you what works really well for me. A drop shot is probably my number one.
Yep.
Depending on what you want to throw. You throw a swim bait.
So many guys this year list drop shot.
Yeah.
Brian Schmidt, Brandon Lester, that's a big one.
The reason why a drop shot is so good, it's direct. When you cast it out, it goes right to them instantly. It pulls that line right to them. And then when it gets to the bottom, if they follow it down, you can just shake it in their face.
Right.
Now, one thing, you're going to love this one. One thing that has worked really well for me when it's really tough, and I don't care if I'm fishing 15 feet of water, a Senko. Just a wacky break Senko. When they're being on them.
How does that show up on the forward facing zone? Does it show up pretty good?
Yeah, it's not perfect, but if you keep it dialed in, you can see it going down.
Right.
And
I've had the drop shot shows up amazing.
Really good.
For whatever reason, a drop shot just I guess the weight going down the screen, it's just
cutting the water,
blows.
Yes. A wacky break Senko, like some of my really tough days, I have caught them well on that because it's the only thing I get in the bite. When it's real tough, what do you pull out?
Senko.
How cold will you throw the wacky rig? Like what's the water temp?
I can tell you this. Now, around the country, I haven't had a lot of experience, but here at home, I've caught them like in late February and March in South Jersey on a wacky rig, plenty of times.
Water temps what, low 40s?
Oh, I would say low to 45, so 40 to 45. I would say you can still get them on it.
Yeah,
that's the one thing we teach at Bass University. Right. A lot of the stuff we talk about, you don't have to follow the guidelines all the time. You can go outside of that. And a lot of the seminars you hear are guys that kind of, explored these things more than anything and just talked about what works outside of what you think should work.
Right. And and forward facing sonars, it's such an asset, right? Yeah. You see it real time. All right, let me fire this out and see what happens.
Right.
Right. You can see the fish respond or not respond and make adjustments from there. It's changing everything.
Yeah. So my 3 picks and third is going to be a jerkbait. Senko, jerkbait, drop shot. Covers all 3. You got fast moving, erratic, or slow if you want to do jerking. You got a Yamamoto Senko or whatever you want to throw. I like the Yamamoto because it's weighted down. It's heavier salted. It does sink a little bit faster. A lot of guys are Nico rigging. That's a big thing on forward facing.
Nico rig keeps showing up. It keeps getting talked about as a player, from Brandon in his seminar, from Schmidt in his seminar. They both put a lot of stock in that Nico rig, and I can't totally wrap my head around that for forward facing sonar fish if they're suspended, because it's going to sink faster with the weight, right? Where just a regular wacky rig, it's going to sink a lot slower. You can twitch it; it'll come back up. You get it to fall back down again. So, why is the Nico rig such a?
I would say it's a little different presentation. It's something that's still not seen a whole lot with bass for the most part. I know a lot of guys are doing Nico rig, but I think the mass majority still are not doing it as a whole. I don't Nico rig a lot myself. I mean, I fish a lot and I don't do it. I think it's just one of them things. It's just a presentation thing.
Right.
It's if you can just change the fall in the water column from something different to something different. Every day that I've been on forward facing sonar, conditions can be identical to the day before: wind, sun, everything, clouds, and they're so moody from day to day by seeing how they are. Like, there's a lot of days it's like a spawning fish. You pull up to a spawning fish. Day one, he might bite a beaver style bait really good. Day two, you got to finesse them. It's no different. They just change their mood. They're like people. You walk up to a dessert table, you're not going to pick cupcake every time. You're going to pick cake. It's whatever you're in the mood for.
Wings, hot wings. For dessert.
Pickled spicy quail eggs.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Some of us
for dessert,
like that. Oh man. Well, guys, this is, if you're not subscribed, get over there. We've got our classic special going on this week. It's $80 off an annual, and you'll be able to watch Brandon Lester's seminar, Brian Thrift's tutorial on how to practice, and Scott Canterbury's strategy on how he prepares for events. These are some pretty high level stuff that are going to help you, whether you're a beginner, advanced, or you're aspiring pro. And it's so great to see guys like we had Ben Milliken on, who had a blistering top 10 at his first open, and a Bass University subscriber. So many guys at the top level are using the program to get better at forward facing sonar and techniques that they're weak at, or find a little detail about a strength that they want to get a little better at. So that's available, and make sure you come by and see us if you're a subscriber. If you're watching on social, like and share, because we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to be giving away a like and share prize with some Waterwood crankbaits and a grand prize. So I hope you guys are paying attention. We've got a Rapala and VMC and what?
Hummingbird hat.
And hummingbird hat. Awesome. We love the hummingbird hats. Everybody loves those. So we'll be right back giving away that stuff right after this.
What's going on? It's Riz here from the Bass University, and I am excited to welcome in Waterwood custom baits to the Bass U family. These are custom handmade baits in the South Rainforest of Brazil. They're made of Marupa pedra wood. It's extremely dense. It's resistant, but it's also really buoyant. They're made of quality components with a 100% guarantee. They're made for tournament anglers to get it done when the money is on the line. Guys, that was like my second cast with this bait. That's a Waterwood custom bait. These things are handmade in the rainforest south of Brazil. And I mean, as you can see right here, it's a fish catching bait. It's got the front hook. That means they wanted it. This bait's, it's running really true. It throws really well. Guys, check them out at waterwoodcustombaits.com.
Aquaview, the leader in underwater viewing technology. Find what you are looking for. Catch more fish. have more fun. Aquaview. Seeing is believing.
Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
It is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA. Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick, every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out there in a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worming series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
On the water, not spent fishing is a moment wasted. That's why Minn Kota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
You guys see that? Hey, welcome back. We were just talking about Yamamoto has been waiting for the new release of their bait, and I just saw it all over social today. And what's it called?
I don't think it's the right name.
Yamaguchi?
The Yamaguchi.
I can't even remember. I think there it's that short,
Yeah.
heavily weighted soft plastic.
Oh yeah, it looks like the depths.
It looks just like the depths.
Like the Nories.
It looks with a tail.
They look like crawfish. They look like a crayfish without the rock star claws out.
They had a really cool video on it.
Yep.
They just look like a juvenile crawfish.
I've been shout out to James Riley who hooked me up with some depths. Who I gave, I've been working with that bait a little bit and can't say that I've really dialed it in. I've caught fish. I still have to try to figure out the best place to use it, but Yamamoto's got a new one out that looks really cool. Bait is funky looking. Mr. Higgs says, I agree. Like a cover scat. Yes, that's the name. C. Lynch, thank you. Other turd. Yes, agreed. It looks like that.
Big tier.
Some comments about the Nico fall, which was key. Trey, you're right. The Nico falls differently, Rich, and that's one of the big things that separates that bait is it does glide and rotate and spin, does some things unique on the fall that
makes sense.
Yeah, that definitely separates that. And so Howie, what's up, Howie? Good to have you with us as usual. I saw Coach was here too. But what's your feeling about a slow falling tube bait on forward facing sonar? Have you checked that?
I have not, but I think anything will work.
Yeah.
Literally, I think it'll all work. You just got to put time in using it and get it dialed in right.
Yep.
If a tube's a great one because, like I said, a tube a lot of times does that spiral on the fall.
We just on the last show, Milliken was talking about the tube on a free rig.
Oh yeah,
as one of his tools.
I believe
at that tournament. Just allowing that bait to drop or the weight to drop and allow that tube it actually falls once it goes horizontal. Once the weight stops pulling on it, so it spirals and then drops horizontal on the fall. And breaking out a tube.
That's cool. I like it.
I thought that was cool.
I do like it.
Yeah. Clifford Perch, Yovo. I don't know how to say that name. Yovolp.
Perch.
Good. Thank you for that. I love. I got Live Scope being of the year, and I love it. At the beginning of the year, I think is a little typo. Yes, it's changing everything. So it's a lot of fun. Here's my advice. Here's my advice to you forward-facing sonar guys that are buying it, trying it. Turn the rest off. That's my advice. That's what I'm doing. I turn off because here's my problem with it. I look at my 2D sonar. I've been fishing that for 30 years. My eyes go to my 2D sonar. If I have that on, my eyes go there. I got to train. I'm trying to teach myself to look at the forward facing all the time. And that's what I'm going to do. So I recommend doing that.
You got to learn to go split eye and look at your forward facing sonar and your 360.
I'm saying my advice to guys like me is even pause your 360 until you get dialed on your Mega Live, which is what I use.
What's your take on that?
Until you get dialed.
I got it all pegging. I got it all going.
Once you go back, once you get comfortable, you bring everything back up because you got to have 360 and you got to have the rest. You got to have your mapping.
You ever see an old school photo booth where the big old thing comes up and they cover over top? You need one of them.
Yeah.
You're just like tunnel vision on top of it. That's all you see.
Here's why you need to keep the 360. Here's why you need to keep your Humminbird 360 on, Pete, is because the Humminbird 360 will take your learning curve from your forward-facing sonar and speed it up by 5 times.
Without a doubt.
Because you see the piece of cover first. Because if you don't pan over to it with your forward-facing sonar, you don't see that piece of cover. Like if my beam is looking at you and there's a lay down to my left, I'm never going to see it on the forward-facing sonar. But my 360 tells me that it's there, and that's when you train your foot how to get over to the target, stay on the target, and hit your target with your cast.
I agree.
That's just my opinion.
I agree 100% for step 2. Step 1, turn that stuff off until you get it.
Yeah, you gotta listen to him.
I'm just telling you, because when my eyes go to it, and like you only get a split second a lot of times. Like you're looking at the habitat, you make your cast, you're working the bait, and you look down, and if your eyes don't go to, they get so distracted. There's so much going on there.
Where do you have your forward-facing sonar on your mount?
It's my front unit. I have as far forward as I can get it. And I'm about to get that crappie for you guys like me. I'm going to get that crappie mount that it telescopes up 3 feet and tilts in.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like you. I'll get the hood over it.
Yeah, he's going to look like he's an NFL referee in the challenge booth. Just locked in on the Humminbird Mega Live, casting with one arm.
That's going to be me. I'm going to be in the challenge booth.
If you see Pete look at his 2D sonar, throw the red flag. Get in the booth.
Oh man, I love it. That would be perfect because it's hard. It's hard to train yourself to do it, and I'm working on it and getting better at it all the time. So wish you guys best of luck. We got like and share. Last chance for the like and share. We're going to be giving away that prize. I'm going to ask a trivia question now. Hope you guys were paying attention. Brandon Coulter. Now I'm trying to phrase this so everybody gets it clear. He spoke about 3 East Tennessee techniques that are specialized for that area. What are the 3 East Tennessee techniques that he mentioned earlier in the broadcast? Got to get all 3, guys. Let's see what you got. See who was paying attention, and we're going to be giving away a cool grand prize. That's a whole bunch of stuff. So check that out. Do we have a like and share winner yet? She's pulling that up right now. In the meantime, once again, guys, come visit us at the Classic. We're going to be what's our booth number?
3111.
3111.
3111.
We're going to be down there. As always, love going to the Classic, like fishing the Classic better, but it's a nice second to be down at the Classic. We've got Jonathan Dietz, another Bass University subscriber. I want to wish him best of luck from Pennsylvania. He's lighting it up, fishing. Man, just doing extremely well. He's doing all opens this year. He's fishing the invitationals over on the MLF side.
Busy man.
He's going to be at the Classic, and he's doing well, doing extremely well. I hate to be surprised by that, but it's. He's obviously he's got the chops. He's made the Classic, and usually there's a learning curve. Not seeing it with him, going right to the top. So
good.
So that's really cool. He got in. He qualified through the federation, and we'll look forward to seeing all the picks that see how our picks do. I'm picking the shallow water deal, and I see Rich is studying the.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of the right. A couple of them come in, but we're not seeing all 3 together.
Yes.
There's one in particular that we're missing.
Love it
You know,
when we
we're-
stump
we're
this
seeing
crowd.
We're seeing a lot of two of them, but the third one is not showing up. You had to really be listening. There was a detail in there.
Want to typically or a lot of times we use a Ken Duke trivia question, which we you guys get so quick. It's unbelievable the knowledge base and how quickly you guys come up with that. So I'm tickled anytime you can get a question that stumps them. And
I don't think I've seen the third one that we're looking for. Third bait. I don't think I've seen it. It has not come up on the board at all yet. But the first two have come up a lot. And just give you a little hint here.
oh, what a hint!
Give a
That's
little
very
hint here.
generous.
I don't know if anybody listened to Limp Bizkit in the late 90s, but he was rolling.
I don't know that
That'll
hint.
help
Do you get it?
somebody.
Oh yeah.
I don't get that reference.
He said it's the kind of
He was rolling.
for the technique.
Okay, I
So we're
look
gonna
forward
wait
to
to see
That was
it.
good. That was a good hint, Riz.
Yeah.
That was really good.
Well, I want you guys to check out Ken Duke's podcast. He's been on our show so many times, and we love him. Big part of this industry, and he has a podcast that is called the Big Bass Podcast. As a matter of fact, he just had Ott Defo on talking about the big fish for the classic big fish, some of the biggest fish that have been caught in the Bassmaster Classic over the years. And I want to invite you guys. Terry Battisti is his co-host, and they go through the stories of the greatest fish catches of all time. And it's really cool.
That was neat.
It's interesting.
Ooh, they're getting close. They are getting close now.
My favorite is the cheese fish.
Don't know about that one.
When the Florida strain got moved out to California for the first time, the trout fishermen were catching all the big largemouth, all the big Florida strain that were growing up, and trout fishermen used cheese balls.
Oh.
And
We have a winner.
15-pounders coming in on cheese ball.
Dan Allen.
Dan Allen
with rolling a popper, the wake bait, and the floating fly.
Yes. Yes.
Yep. Rolling a popper, the wake, and the float. I'll give it to you. He said
Yeah.
rolling a popper, a wake, and a float.
Yes.
I'll give that to you. I knew what you were
That was
talking
close
about.
enough. Rolling a
Congratulations, Dan
pop
Allen.
R was
Rolling a pop R around bushes.
pretty close. We'll give you.
And a wake bait.
That's
and a
right.
floating fly. So good
Excellent.
job, Dan Allen.
Well-
way to either pay attention or take a hint.
Is that what Limp Bizkit's rolling?
Rolling. Brandon Coulter said he can roll a pop R underneath
That's
the bushes.
right. Yep.
And that's why he thinks he'll do really well at Kerr this year.
There you go.
Because
That's how it's been won that way
Exactly.
in the past.
CP.
Yep. CP won it. Guys, thanks folks for watching. Thanks for being part of Bass University.
Like and share.
We have a like and share.
We do.
Who's our winner?
The winner is Tom Perbs.
Tom Purve.
Congratulations, Tom Purvis.
Purvis?
That's how you say it.
Sorry.
I thought I was being set up by, weird names. But anyway, congratulations on the like and share, guys. We're going to be back next week with a post-classic show. We're going to be talking to the Bassmaster Classic champ if we can. If not, we're going to have him on as soon as we can, whoever that winner turns out to be. And we'll assess our picks, have a lot of fun doing that. We're hopefully we'll see a bunch of you guys in Knoxville. Thanks for hanging by, GDP.
Oh, we'll be there. I'll see you in Knoxville too.
I appreciate you being here today, and we'll see everybody next week on Bass University Live.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Brandon.